with number 7. Okay, we're just reviewing some of these. All right, I don't think I gave y'all number 7 to do. So 7, is it an and or an or? When it's written like that, would that be an and or an or? It's in between, right? It's in between two numbers, so it's an and. It would be where they intersect. All right, so I'm going to write it down. 3 less than 2p minus 3. Less than or equal to 12. And now, some of you liked when I split it into two different problems, so I'm going to do that. You don't have to. So remember, I can cover up that inequality sign, and I write down what's left over. Do y'all see that? Like, I'm just going to cover up. I'm going to take one inequality at a time. Let me cover that one. Let me write that down. 3 is less than 2p minus 3. Then I'm going to write my other inequality. Yes? Yes. So I'm going to cover up this one, and I write 2p minus 3 is less than or equal to 12. Do y'all see how I split that up into two inequalities? Remember, compound inequalities, how many are we going to have? 2. Now we solve them both, and we see what our answer is. And just keep in mind that this is an and when it's written like that, okay? An or is going to actually have the word or written down every time. So how do I solve this one? Add 3. Add 3. So I have a 6 over here and a 2p over here. Then what do I do? Divide by 2. And I have 3 less than p. But you know, I don't like for my variable to come last, so I'm going to flip the whole thing around. Okay? So that actually says p is greater than 3. Any questions on that one? I hope we're getting used to solving those. Yes, no, it's awful, we're okay. Yeah. Okay, it'll do, is that what somebody said? So add 3 on this one. So I have 2p is less than or equal to 15. Everybody good with that? Then what do I do to solve? Divide by 2. See how it's the same steps over and over again? And I get p is less than or equal to 7.5. That's not a hard number to deal with, okay? I know that's between 7 and 8. So it's an and sometimes or a lot of times on your test, then you'll have to graph it. Or if it's multiple choice, you'll have to pick out what graph it matches. So the two numbers on my number line are what? 3 and 7.5. So I'm just going to write some numbers around those. There we go. So if I'm greater than 3, what kind of circle is that? Open, and I'm going this way. Less than or equal to 7.5, what kind of closed circle? And that's about right here, right? In between 7 and 8. And I'm less than going that way. So do y'all see how it's everything between there? All right. That's an and. Do we feel better about that yet?
The one that bothered me was like the infinity signs.
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to go over some more of those. I just kind of wanted to do these. I wanted to do number 11. Wait, I'll wait on that one. Did I do number 9? Or did y'all do number 9? No, I'll do number 9.
We didn't do 7 or 12.
Okay. Then let me do 9 is an or. How do we know that? Because it actually says it, right? 3d plus 3 is less than or equal to negative 1. Or 5d plus 2 is greater than or equal to 12. All right, so I have two separate problems, compound inequalities, 2 of them, and I'm going to work them each out, and then I'm going to graph them together. All right, so how do I solve this one? What? Either one, just say it.
Don't you you solve each and then
So how do you solve this one? Solving for D, what do I move first?
you subtract
What?
3,
Yes, very good. Subtract 3.
and then that's a negative 4.
So over here, that's right, I get a negative 4, and I'll just bring that down, right? Then what do you do?
Then after that, you divide by 3.
Divide by 3, and that's a positive number, right? 3 is positive, so I'm just going to leave the, nope, I divided by a positive. So you leave the sign. What's negative 4 divided by 3? What decimal is that? Negative 1 point, what?
2.
1 point.
It's negative 1.3.
Yeah, what repeated? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. When it's thirds, it's usually a 0.3 or a 0.6 or a 0.9. Okay. So negative 1.3 repeated. We can kind of figure out about where that goes. Okay. Then on this one, how do I solve this one?
Me.
Yep, sure.
Minus 2.
Subtract 2. So I get 5D.
Is greater than or equal to 10.
There you go. Then what?
You
Divide by 5. And so I'm just going to bring everything down. And what's 10 divided by 5? 2. I didn't flip signs because I didn't divide or multiply by negative. Okay? Now are we ready to graph it? We graph everything on this one. We don't graph where they cross. Okay? We would graph everything. So I need numbers like between negative 2 and 2. So if I'm less than or equal to negative 1.3, what kind of circle is that? Closed circle. I'm just going to put it right here, okay? And then we're going less than is that way. It doesn't have to be exact, y'all, on your number. Just, I need to kind of see about where it goes, all right? Then greater than or equal to 2, open or closed? Closed, because it's equal to. And we're going this way. And see, an or just includes everything. Those don't cross, but it just includes that graph. Remember, yesterday you did have one where it crossed and it was an or, but you still just graphed the whole thing. It ended up being the whole number line. So we're kind of okay with those. Now I'm going to make some up like the bottom because I think that just threw everybody for a loop. Right? The interval notation. Okay. Once you get it, I think it clicks. Okay, I mean, you just need it to click. The infinity thing, yes. It's called interval notation. So the first thing they did was they said, okay, write this. What are we saying? Our numbers go from 0 forever. Does everybody see that? We start, let's wait a second. Okay, so we start at 0 and it goes to numbers that are bigger and bigger and bigger forever, right? So that is the greater than sign. Does everybody understand that? No, if you're going to infinity, you're looking at the greater than sign, one of those. If you have negative infinity, what's that going to be? One of those less than signs, okay? Since I have infinity, I'm greater than. Greater than what number? What's my number? 0. So I'm going to put x is greater than 0. Why did I not put greater than or equal to?
Because it had a bracket.
But yes, it has parentheses and not a bracket. If I had a bracket, I put the equal sign. Does that make sense? Let's do another one. What about this one? Oh, yeah, I'll just leave it like that. Since I have negative infinity, what kind of sign am I going to use? The less than. Okay, so I'm going to have x is less than what number? Negative 2. That's the number that I have. Okay, now let's try some where we have the equal sign with it. Okay, what if I have, for an infinity? Remember, infinity can never have a bracket because you can't be equal to infinity. That doesn't even make sense, okay? But can you be equal to 4? Yes. So what do I write for this one? X is greater than or equal to 4. The equal to sign is because we have the bracket. And it's greater than because we're going to infinity. We're going to numbers forever and ever that are bigger than 4. 4, 5, 6, 7, a million, 2 million, 3 million, a billion, 10 billion. You know, it just keeps going forever and ever to infinity. All those numbers are bigger than 4. Okay? What if I have negative infinity and it goes up to 10? What am I going to say about that one? Since it's negative infinity, what sign do I use? The less than. So x is less than what number? 10. But I have a bracket, so I need to include the equal sign part. Are we getting better with that? No? Some of us, no, not clicking yet. It may be, too, that you need to go back and watch it because I'm recording. Yesterday's and today's. Today's lesson, I'm probably doing better. Yesterday I had a terrible headache, so I just kind of suffered through teaching. let's see. What if I had, this one was on your paper, 3 to infinity. Are we greater than or less than? Greater than. X is greater than. I may need to change it. Yeah, it's going to be equal to because of the bracket. And then what number am I looking at? 3. Yes?
How do you know if it's greater than or less than?
It's greater than if it's infinity. It's less than if it's negative infinity. Think of your number line. What way are you going? Are you going towards positive numbers or are you going towards negative numbers?
Can you do one where it's not like where it doesn't have infinity?
Yes, so I'm going to do that. I was just trying to do all those with infinity. Y'all, if you don't get it 100% today, it's okay. All right, it's okay. I hate to move on with everybody just being too stressed. There may or may not even be a problem like this on your test. I just want you familiar with it. Okay, the next one is going to have problems like 13 and 14. I like these better. I'll have 3 to 5. Okay, so what number is your x between? 3 and 5. Does everybody see that? Like, it's not to infinity anymore. We're saying x is between these two numbers. So I'm going to write them. X is between 3 and 5. All right, and then you always just use this sign going this way. We just need to decide if one of them has an equal to with it.
Wait, so they always face that way?
When you're writing it like this.
Okay.
When you write it in between, it should always face that way. If it doesn't, it's just, I don't know, that's weird. I don't know, that would be difficult to understand that if the signs faced the opposite way. I just don't see them doing that to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like if we're doing interval notation, always put them this way, okay, on this type of problem. What if I have, what's another one? -4 to 0. What are we going to do on that one? X is between what numbers? So I'm going to write that. I didn't mean to write in that little. Okay, so there's X. I put it in between -4 and 0. Then what am I going to say? I'm going to do the less than signs, right? And the 0 has the equal sign with it because the 0 has a what? A bracket with it. The -4 does not have a bracket, so it just stays that sign. Are we any better on those?
No.
Kind of?
No.
No. Let me look at the back. Then it said, okay, it wanted us to start the other way. If I have x is greater than 3, what is that in interval notation? What number am I looking at? 3 and positive infinity, right? Does everybody understand that? When it's greater, it's positive infinity. So I'm going to write that, 3 and positive infinity. Now we need to decide brackets or parentheses. It's both parentheses. It's not equal to the 3, and you can never equal infinity. Okay, that's not even a number. It just means it goes on. So you can never have a bracket on the infinity.
Why is infinity like there then?
To tell you that it's going on forever in the positive direction. It just, because there's no end. There in numbers there's no end. So that's why they use the infinity symbol. But infinity is not really a number. It just means you're going in that direction forever. Okay. Questions? Let me try another one like that. What if I had x is less than -4 or equal to? I'm going to do that. All right. I did that. Sorry. It'll come right back on. Okay. So since it's the less than sign, I'm going to use what? A negative infinity, and that goes first because that goes the other way of the number line. Okay, so I'm going to use a negative infinity, and what number does it go to? What's my number on there? 4. -4. Now, for infinity, do you use parentheses or brackets? Parentheses every time because you cannot be equal to that. It's not a number. Okay, but -4, do you use a parentheses or a bracket? Why? Because you're equal to it. Do you see that equal sign? That's why you use a bracket. Huh? Okay, are we kind of getting it a little bit better? A little bit, yeah, maybe. Let's see. I wanted to look at some of these I just didn't finish with y'all. Like, we didn't do 23 through 26, right? Okay. Okay, I didn't think so. I'm sorry yesterday about not finishing. My head was just hurting and I just couldn't do anymore.
I tried doing it, I just didn't get that far.
Okay, they want you to write a compound inequality. So I want you to look at number 23. What number does it look like I'm centered around? -1. So I have numbers that are greater than -1 and numbers that are less than -1. Since I've included everything, it's an or. Does everybody see that? So I'm going to write that. This is what it looks like. You're looking at 23 on your paper. The answer would say, I'm going to write this down, number 23, I'm going to say x is less than -1 or x is greater than -1.
I got it right.
So that's all you were doing. You're deciding, is it an and or an or? What numbers are you looking at? Okay. 24. I'm just going to show you all the picture. So it looks like I'm going two separate ways. Is that going to be an and or an or? Or. This is an or. So I'm going to use the word or. Now let's look at the first one. Read that to me. What does it say? X is what?
Less than -4.
X is less than -4. Let me write that down.
What did you get for number 23?
This is 23 right here.
It was
Oh, it's because I keep hitting those wires. But I didn't hit the wires that time. Hold on. Let me pause my video. Okay, so that was number 23. Number 24. So the first one y'all said, we know it's an or because it went two different ways. And we said x is less than -4. Everybody was good with that one? Now I'm going to put my picture back up there. And what's the other one? We're looking at the number 2. And it's what? Greater than or equal to. Why are we putting the equal to on there? It's a closed circle. So x is greater than or equal to 2. That's my answer. Is it bad? Not so bad, maybe? This to me, this lesson and the lesson that we're going to start today are the two most difficult lessons in this chapter. Okay? They are. Look at 25 and 26. Are those ands or ors? Ands. Those are and because you're between some numbers. If I were you, I would just write x between those numbers. So on number 25, what two numbers are they between? -3 and 2. So watch, I'm just going to write that. Look, 25. X is between -3 and 2. Yeah?
Is it okay if I just wrote two different things with and?
Yes, that is fine too. I'll write that one as well. And are they closed or open circles? Closed. So I'm going to put the equal signs. Now, what she's saying is she said, you should have written, okay, I have that x is greater than or equal to -3 and x is less than or equal to 2. That should be what you wrote, Shirley. Is that what you wrote? Okay. So this is the same thing. All right? But notice when you write it between, your signs have to point the same way. All right? I had to flip that one around. All right? Let's do 26, and then I think we'll be done with this sheet. I'll have you turn it in. I think we've gone through enough of these, honestly. So 26, what numbers am I between?
-2 and 1.
So I'm going to write it between -2 and 1. Let me write that first. X is between -2 and 1. And they are open circles. So what signs, am I going to put the equal? No, I'm just going to put this. Or you could have written it this way. X is greater than -2 and x is less than 1. That's the same thing for 26. So this is lesson 3.7. What is absolute value? What does that mean?
That's the lines.
It's the lines? Okay, what else?
It's the lines.
It's the lines?
If it's negative, it makes it positive.
Okay, if it's negative, it makes it positive. Colton?
The distance number is from 0.
The distance. Yes, it is the distance. It's all those things. It's the absolute value bars. It's the distance something is from 0. That is why it's never a negative number.
Doesn't that mean like if it's a positive, it stays?
It stays positive. If it's positive, it stays positive. If it's negative, you make it positive. Because distance can never be negative. I know you can drive in the opposite direction, but you're still going a distance. That's not negative, right? So, Aston, what are you doing? Okay. So it's always a positive answer. The first type of problem on your sheet, it says to solve each equation. I'm just going to tell you, well, let me do this. If I have the absolute value of 3, all right, it is 3, right? What is another number that would equal 3?
-3.
Yes. If I put -3 in the absolute value bars, it also equals that number. So do you see how I can set that up 2 ways? Yeah? So guess, huh? There's always 2 answers. So today, when we set this up, we can set this up 2 ways. I'm going to show you, it's the same thing over and over again. This is probably the most common missed problem on the test, is the absolute value one. So the first problem I'll say, okay, the absolute value of B is 3. I know I just wrote it. What are my 2 answers? 3 and -3. You're saying it's the positive of that and it's the negative of that. So that's my 2 answers. B would be 3 and B would be -3. Do y'all understand that?
So if we only
What's
put 1, you'd be like wrong.
half credit? Half credit. Yeah. Does everybody get that? That inside here, it could have been a 3, or what's inside here could have been a -3. That's the way you're going to set it up. Okay? Let me do another one. What if I have the absolute value of x is 1/2? What are the 2 numbers that I could have inside the absolute value bars? 1/2 and -1/2. So those would be my 2 answers. We're saying that inside here, I could have put 1/2, and that would have been my answer. Or inside of here, I could have put -1/2, and what? That would have been my answer. How are we on that one? That type of problem. We're good so far? So we have our positive and our negative. The next one that I want to do, I'm going to do a few of these, and then I'll give you the first little part to try. Any questions on that? Anybody need me to explain it again? Yeah? No? Okay. Look at this one. This one's, it's very similar, so I'll just go to this one. If I have the absolute value of y plus 4 equals 8. Now, when we're solving these, what do you have to get by itself? The variable. Or in this case, the absolute value has to be over there by itself. So what's with it that I need to move? The 4. Does everybody see that plus 4 needs to move? I need the absolute value on its own. So I would move that plus 4 by subtracting 4. Are we good with that? So I have the absolute value of y equals 4. Now, what number could be in here? There's 2 answers. What are they? 4 and -4. That's my 2 answers. It's always the positive and the negative. 4 and -4. Those are my answers. Okay? What if I have, I'm trying to see if there's one that's confusing. Add 5, you're fine. 22, you're fine. I think all these are fine. Okay, let me do this one. The absolute value of b minus 2 equals -1. So what do you have to have by itself? The absolute value. So what am I going to do? Add 2 and add 2. So the absolute value of b equals what? 1. So what can my 2 answers be?
1 and -1.
1 and -1. All right, any questions? No? Are we good with this so far? Not so bad yet, huh? I don't want y'all saying, you didn't show us one like this, right, Aston? So if I had 6 times the absolute value of x equals 36. I only said your name because you were communicating. So how do I solve this one? I have to get the absolute value by itself. Divide by 6. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
So you get the absolute value of x equals 6. What are my two answers, though? 6 and negative 6.
Hey, that hard.
That's
Okay.
nice.
Now I'll give y'all this. On these, it says to graph. Notice we're not dealing with inequalities yet. Does everybody see that? What kind of sign is that?
Equal.
An equal sign. What are we going to get to eventually? The inequality. But if you were to graph the answers, all right, all you would do is draw your number line. Oops, that's negative. I'm going to count by 2s. Barely made it. So you would just put a dot on negative 6 and 6. Does everybody understand that? Because that's where it's equal to those two numbers. There's no shading on your graph because I'm not less than, I'm not greater than. I'm just equal to those two numbers. Are we good with that? You don't have to do that. Your directions on 1 through 6 say to graph it. You do not have to graph it. But there may be one on your test like that. Don't worry, you'll have a when we have absolute value, when you solve for those absolute value bars, when you get them by themselves, it can never equal a negative number. Okay? Because distance can never equal a negative number. I'm not saying what were my two answers, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying I could never have the absolute value of x is negative 2.
Oh, so we have to write it like,
This is no solution. If you see a problem like this, when you solve for the absolute value bars and it's equal to a negative number, it's no solution. All right? There are, I see so far, 1, 2, in this next section. I think there's 2. That one's fine. That one's fine. That one's fine. And that one's fine. 2 of them are no solution in 7 through 15. Okay? Because the absolute value can never be negative. A distance can never be negative. This one up here is fine, right? It's equal to a positive number. From there, I can find my two answers. This one, there are no two answers. It's no solution. It can never equal a negative number. Are we good with that? No. Okay. When you solve for the absolute value, let me do a problem. Let me see how I can say this another way. I'll do that. 3 times the absolute value of 2x plus 9 plus 12 equals 10. I know that looks like a difficult problem, but let's just solve. No, we're just solving for the absolute value. All I want is the absolute value by itself. What do I do first?
what's the absolute value?
The absolute value, right? This right here.
Subtract.
I'm going to subtract 12. Very good. Okay, so I just move my 12, subtract 12, and I'm going to bring everything down. So I still have 3 times my absolute value, which is what I'm trying to get by itself, equals negative 2. Then what am I going to do? I've got to get absolute value by itself. Divide by 3. And over here I divide by 3. So let me bring everything down. Now, can a distance ever equal a negative number? No. So you stop right here and you put no solution. You're not going to find your two answers. When the absolute value has that it's equal to a negative, it's no solution. Your distance can never be equal to a negative number.
Once we see we have a negative number, we're going to stop.
You can stop. Yes. Once you get the absolute value by itself and it's equal to a negative number, you stop.
So we could have stopped like right there.
No, because we didn't have the absolute.
Right here.
So on
Once you
number
get absolute value by itself.
on
So
number
what-
7, it's just going to be no solution.
Yeah, number 7 is ready for you to say no solution already, right? Because it has the absolute value by itself and it's equal to a negative number. Now, I'm going to do one like 8 and 9 real quick. 8 and 9 are okay. I'm going to be able to solve those because what? They're equal to a positive number. But let me do one like those, okay? Hold on. I'm going to go over it. This is where it changes a little bit, okay? Remember that twist? All right. If I have the absolute value I'm hot too. I'm about to turn that air on. The absolute value of x plus 4 equals 8. I can solve this one. On the first part of today, how did we solve them? We had to set it equal to a what? Positive and a negative. Very good. So I'm going to take what's inside here, and I'm going to set it equal to what? Positive 8 and what? Negative 8. So watch. This time it's just a little bit more to it. I'm going to take what's inside there, and I'm going to set it equal to 8 and negative 8. Any questions? Does that look blurry? No, it's better. Okay, do y'all see what I did? Yes, no? No different if, let me do this. If I had x equals 3, what did I set that equal to?
3.
And, so I said x is 3 and x is negative 3, right? I took what's inside there, and I basically set it equal to the positive
So you have to do it like
and
that
the
so you can
negative.
solve it.
So now, remember, we're going to have to solve for 2 answers. I have to take what's inside here, once you get the absolute value by itself, set it equal to the positive, and then what? The negative. Now let's solve, okay? How would I solve this one? Subtract 4. So x equals 4. On this one, what do I do? Subtract 4. So x equals negative 12. And I promise you, if you plugged both of those answers in, it works. What's 4 plus 4? And the absolute value of 8 is 8. Now let's try the other one. What's negative 12 plus 4? Negative 8. And what's the absolute value of negative 8? 8. So that's why those are your 2 answers. Let's do another one. You're going to do 8 and 9 in a second. Okay? So 7, 8, and 9. But I'm going to do another one like them, huh? Okay. If I have the absolute value of m minus 2 equals 10. Can I solve this one? Yes, it's equal to a positive number, right? It's not like number 7. Number 7 was no solution. So how do I set my 2 problems up? I have it equal to the positive, and then I set it equal to the negative. So let me do that. I'm going to set this equal to the positive 10, and what do I write next? Yes?
Why do we not do that on all of the problems?
We do. We are on all the absolute value. Will you? Okay, what?
We didn't have to set up like 2 different problems for the other ones.
Basically, what on number 1, what did you get? B equals,
Negative 2/3.
and then B equals 2/3. You had 2 answers. You'd set it up 2 different ways. What am I doing? This one just sucks because you have to solve it now, right? It has an extra step. So this set up to my positive, and then this set equal to my negative. You see that? Now we just have to solve it. Okay? So what am I going to do? Yes. Question? Or you wanting to answer it? Never mind. Okay. I'm going to add 2, right? Add 2. So what's my first answer? M equals 12. Okay? And I could plug that in and see, yes, it works. What do I do on this one? Add 2. So M equals negative 8. If I plugged that in up here, then I would see that that also worked. Okay? How do we feel on those? Do y'all want one more? Y'all are doing 8 and 9. Do y'all want to try them, or do you want me to do another one?
I'm trying it already. You want to check them? So, like, if you're doing it and you come up with a negative first down, does it work?
If you what?
Like,
C plus 3 equal, or is that the one you're on? Tell me what you set it up. C plus 3 equals,
oh, I did that one. I'm fine with that one.
okay, G plus 3 equals,
4.
and then G plus 3 equals.
Negative.
Yeah, your absolute value is gone. You're not worried about, once you do that, the absolute values are not there anymore, so you don't have to worry about the whole negative positive thing. That's only at the very beginning. Looking at number 7, it can equal a negative number. Yes, look, mine did, right here. Mine equaled a negative number. That's, once your absolute value bars are gone, it can equal a negative number. hold on, let me pause this so they're not just sitting here. What are you going to do on 11, 12, 13, and 14? You're going to do the same step. You're going to divide first on all 4 of those problems. So you want me to do number... let me do number 12 with y'all. 11 is super easy. You try number 11. Divide. Divide by that -2 and tell me what happens.
Wait, what?
On number 11, go ahead and divide. You're trying to get the absolute value by itself. That 3D, the absolute value by itself. So you have to divide by what number?
But it's no solution.
3.
Nope, you have to divide by the -2.
Because 4
Oh,
by
it's-
-2 is
It's no solution. So you're done. You write no solution. Does everybody understand that? When you divided by that negative,
it made it.
you end up getting that the absolute value is equal to a negative number. Can it be equal to a negative number? No. So it's no solution. Stop right there. Aston.
So, how is that a no solution whenever 8, you have to divide by negative, and that's as a solution?
Wait, on 8 you don't divide.
Yeah, because you said you changed.
Because you can. Because,
Wait.
Like there's like the absolute value is already by itself, so you don't have to. This absolute value is not by itself.
Do you see that? The absolute value, you have once you solve for the absolute value, it's over there by itself. It cannot equal a negative number. If it equals a negative number, you stop right there and you put no solution.
So if it's already positive, then you can show it.
So, yeah, now, let me try number 12. Girls, are y'all paying attention? -3 times the absolute value of 2w equals -6. Now, yes, we're going to divide and see what happens. I can't make a decision yet until the absolute value is by itself. So what happens when I divide by that -3?
It's a positive 2.
We get a +2. So can I solve this one? Yes, I can. How do I set it up? I have to set it up for two ways, right?
2w equals 2 and 2w equals 8.
Very good. We say, okay, what's inside here can be positive, and what's inside there can be what? Negative. Okay? Once you decide we do have a solution, then we split it up into these 2 parts.
So
Now,
that's number 12.
this is number 12. Yeah, y'all go ahead and write this with... Divide by 2, and you get 1. Then over here, what are you going to get? Yeah, those are your 2 answers. Those are your 2 answers for number 12. Now, I'll do number 13, and you're going to do number 14.
So your answer will be 1 negative 1.
Yeah, on number 12, yeah. I'm going to do 13, you're going to do 14.
Yes, ma'am. 9.
Number 13. 4 times v minus 5, and the absolute value bars, equals 16. Okay, what do I do first? Divide by 4. Have to get the absolute value by itself before I can split it up. So if I divide by 4, I get the absolute value of v minus 5 equals 4. Everything looks good, so I can set up my 2 problems, right? I'm good. I have positive number. Let me set up my 2 problems. V minus 5 equals 4, and v minus 5 equals what? -4. So this is going to give me my 2 possible answers.
Should be 9.
So I add 5. Yep. When I add 5, my first answer is 9. When I add 5 over here, I get 1. Okay, now you try 14.
Do you want to check mine?